it wasn't just designing aesthetics, it was designing a place of worship.
I think they captured who we were better than any other firm.
In order to build a good building, you have to understand the vision of the people who are building it and who they want to become over time.
LS3P, they became part of our church family, and I recommend them highly to anyone who's looking for an architect, especially anyone who's looking to build a church building.
We lost our sanctuary in a fire in 2009. So it wasn't just rebuilding a building, it was rebuilding a staple in the community. It was rebuilding a place where their kids were married, their kids were baptized, and really focused on what to do in the community and let the building kind of grow out of that. We had a slew of things that we said we would like to find a way to incorporate this. And they didn't just pacify us and say, oh, okay, we'll stick it somewhere. They really became design elements. I love what we were able to do with stained glass, not only to save it and restore it, but to highlight it almost like art. We had the opportunity to build a traditional space with the most modern audiovisual technology that if you just look in, you might not be able to see that there's a screen that comes up. There's speakers that are well hidden. You can also clear off the entire chancel area for any type of performance. Not only was the building built back for worship, it's become an opportunity for the community to come in and just enjoy the space.
Our vision is the gospel, to share the gospel in all elements of life. So this space gives us that great opportunity to do that. What we were trying to capture is a Main Street atmosphere, that you would have some casual space, the coffee shop here, just to hang out and spend time and get to know people. And then we also wanted it to be a link. We have this one area called the link, which allows people to get connected into the church. In the auditorium part, they captured our desire to have a close proximity of the congregation to our preacher. Dave and Chuck and his guys were the only firm that came and actually attended our worship services for 2 or 3 weeks prior to even making a proposal. And that spoke volumes to us. We actually had weekly meetings where we would sit down with the superintendent, one of Dave's guys, and myself and our facilities guys, where we would go through things that would be done, things that were accomplished, and the challenges that were created. We had challenges with technology changing. We had challenges with material costs going up. Steel cost was going up at a very rapid rate. But they always came to us with options. Rather than saying, we got a problem, here it is. They said, here's a problem, and we could do 1, 2, or 3. And they were very helpful.
So we're still under construction. We've got about 8 weeks left to go in our project. And one of the things that I love is taking people in for the first time. And I get in there and I would turn around and I watch them as they come into the sanctuary. And the reaction is always the same. Their jaw drops as they look up and say, wow. And I am really looking forward to that first Sunday morning when we gather for worship, because I fully expect to see a congregation of 500 people standing there in the sanctuary, ready to sing, ready to pray, ready to listen, with mouths wide open and their eyes turned up to that glorious ceiling. LS3P came in with a vision, but they came with a willingness to listen, to facilitate our decision making and to push forward. And that there was a desire there to get things just right the way we wanted them. One of the questions I'm often asked is, what's it like working with a firm that's not in town? And what we've found is that having LS3P based in another city has really not constrained our project at all. They make regular visits to the site. They're available by phone, highly responsive by email. And when we need them, they're in the car and driving up to see us. The distance really is not a barrier to a good working partnership.
One of the challenges that we faced early on was just the layout of the building itself and how to maximize the square footage. What they provided for us was they rotated our building 90 degrees and connected it to our existing structure. and actually maximized our space with that. We wanted it to be a space that would bring all of our congregants together, but also be a space that would be inviting to the community that's around us. The feature that I would say I like the most about this whole project is our atrium. It is full of natural light. It's a space where our people gather on Sunday mornings before the service, even actually before our adult Sunday classes. We're able to serve coffee, fellowship, and just interact together. So it's just a space that allows us to do multiple things whenever we want to. Working with LS3P, they seemed to always be one step ahead of us. When we would be analyzing an idea or a design feature, we would say, well, that's good, but what if this comes up? And they'd say, well, we thought about that, so here's a couple of options for you to consider. But seemed to always be a step ahead of us and helping us think through what we really needed.
We talked about a passage in Ezekiel where the question was, can these dry bones live? In the text where God breathes and the bones come together and the tissue comes together, and literally the sound of God raising up something out of death. And that was really the most beautiful picture of this space, the sound of hammers and nails and contracting equipment, and the sound of God breathing fresh life, not only into a building, but into a group of people.
It's been 8 years. Yeah, it'll be 8 years since we built, and we're all personal friends. We talk back and forth. It's very personal. It's become very personal.
Their willingness to sit and listen and absorb, to understand our priorities has been a huge asset as we've sought to design this facility for our community.
I think for us, it was the fact that the three guys that we were talking with, we knew they were believers. So they knew what church was about. It wasn't just a business. They knew what we were trying to accomplish with our mission here at Calvary. And I would say that really resonated with us. They were in tune with just the church life itself.